The Ximenez Facio house was built in 1798 by Andre Ximenez, who lived in the house with his family until his death. After his death, the house went to the Ximenez children until Margaret Cook, a widow from Boston, purchased the house from the three Ximenez heirs.
She decided to convert this to a boarding house. She had bought it for that purpose.
Margaret Cook had her friend Eliza Whitehurst run the house for her. When Miss Whitehurst died, Margaret Cook sold the house to the second owner, Sarah Petty Anderson.
Miss Anderson was also a widow who had had the Dunlawton plantation over near Daytona, and she came into town and bought the property from Miss Cook, and she lived here until Florida became a state in 1845.
Miss Anderson had Louisa Facio run the boarding house for her, and eventually Miss Louisa Facio became the third owner of the house.
She operated this as a boarding house. She also made an addition to the building and added a wing to allow more rooms for guests to stay here. The house was purchased by the National Society of the Colonial Dames of America in 1939, and it is now 75 years of their ownership. The boarding house could hold up to about 24 guests. We have about 16 rooms, and I'm sitting in the owner's parlor right now. Each of the ladies that owned the boarding house did live upstairs. They had their apartment upstairs, and they would have a sitting room, as I'm in now, and a bedroom and an owner's office. Each room is set up as if a different type of guest were staying here. We have a sea captain's room because this is the nation's oldest port, and there would have been lots of sea captains in town. We have a family room. There were a lot of families coming here during the Indian Wars. They were having their plantations burned down. We had a lot of refugees in town, as well as people visiting from up north. We have a soldier's room. Some of the military officers would have stayed in a place like this. We have a naturalist room. Most likely a naturalist would have been down here, painting pictures of the birds and animals and plants that were here to send back to the northern publications so people could see what St. Augustine was like. And we have a frail ladies' room because there were many people down here for their health getting well from consumption or tuberculosis. The doctors would send them down from the north. We do also have a room set up as if a doctor were staying there. We know that there was a doctor in town that stayed here for several years, and he would of course go outside to treat his patients, but he was an important person in town. And then we also have the dining room set up as if it is set for lunch or dinner. We have a detached kitchen as well where all the meals were prepared. The detached kitchen was built at the same time when Andre Ximenez built the original building in 1798. In 2002, we were building our visitor center, and we had the city archaeologist Carl Halbert out here doing a kind of emergency archaeology dig ahead of the builders who were digging trenches to put in the various wires and pipes. And during that dig, they discovered a rare Spanish cross named the Caravaca cross, and it dates to 1650, and it was made of white bronze, and it had been apparently lost during that time period. The cross got its name from a town in southeastern Spain called Caravaca, where they have one there on display as well from very ancient times. And it is said to have restorative powers. It's supposed to protect you from rabies and from lightning and protect you in childbirth. And we're hoping for our 450th celebration to have an archaeology dig out near our front gate, which should be really fun. We are the best dug site in St. Augustine. We've had over 15 archaeological digs, and I spoke about the cross previously, but we do have over 250,000 artifacts stored over at the University of Florida. Here at the museum, we offer guided tours. They take about a half an hour to 45 minutes. And for those non-English speaking, we do have the tours translated in pamphlets into Spanish and French and German and Italian. These were the languages that Louisa Fatio spoke, so we thought it would be fun to do that. So we do have the translated tours for our guests. In addition, we do several events throughout the year. In the spring, we have our Girl Scout reenactment. We pick 12 Girl Scouts from Northeast Florida, and they each pick a person who would have been one of the owners or the guests or the people that helped with the boarding house. And all day long they're in period costume, and it's a real fun thing to come to. In October, we participate in the Avalese Street Merchant Association by having period artisans in the yard doing their crafts. And we have many kinds of special events. It's a fun place to be.